I'm reading from Liberating the Heart, Spirituality and Jungian Psychology by Dr. Lawrence W. Jaffe, published by Inner City Books. I'm reading from the introduction. There's a quote by someone who I don't recognize, and at the beginning of this introduction, but in any case, I'll read it. It says, quote, "You must pay attention to me," he urged. "If something happens, perhaps you will be able to write the book that I may never get written. The idea is very simple, so simple that if you are not careful, you will forget it. It is this, that everyone in the world is Christ and they are all crucified. That's what I want to say. Don't you forget that. Whatever happens, don't you dare let yourself forget." Signed, Sherwood Anderson, Winesburg, Ohio. My name is Lawrence Jaffe. I get emotional about this because I only learned of Lawrence Jaffe a week ago, and it was because he ran a profound interview with Dr. Edward Edinger, which you can find on YouTube under Edward Edinger, an American Jungian, 1994. And unfortunately, Lawrence Jaffe died in 2003. It so happens I found his obituary in the San Francisco Chronicle online. My name is Lawrence Jaffe. I have written this book to try to convey Jung's healing message to those who have lost their sense of purpose and forgotten why man's life should be sacrificial, that is, offered up to an idea greater than himself. While Jung is often thought of as a psychologist with a mystical bent, a kind of oddball relation of Freud, he can be portrayed more accurately as a seer, literally one who sees. He saw early and precisely the condition of moral and spiritual bankruptcy, soullessness. He saw that we no longer have a myth to guide us, since most modern people no longer feel themselves contained in the Judeo-Christian story. Mythlessness means that we have forgotten the purpose we live for, or, more urgently, the purpose for which we suffer. All religions recognize that suffering is a given. All life is sorrowful is the first of Buddhism's Four Noble Truths. Containment in a living religion imparts meaning to our suffering and courage to endure it. But if we don't know why we suffer, life's challenges easily defeat us. Jung says we cannot stand a meaningless life, and he offers us the myth he discovered and made his own, that our effort to be as conscious as possible contributes to the evolution of God. The name for this process is individuation, the first essential component of Jung's healing message. The second essential component of Jung's message is the affirmation of the reality of the psyche. There is a scarcely noticed paradox at the heart of human life. All we have is our subjective experience. And what we're talking about when we're talking about subjective experience is the experience that we have within our own minds. So all we have is our subjective experience. No matter what our life can be said to be objectively, all we can know is our experience of it, good or bad, painful or joyful. That is the introverted or subjective perspective. From the point of view of the outer world, by contrast, one's inner experience is inconsequential. Jung's discovery of the reality of the psyche validates our subjective experience, thus returning meaning to our lives. The restoration of meaning to our lives is the third essential component of Jung's message. Meaning cannot be found in the objective world. It is wholly subjective. Thus, if subjective experience is discredited, as it has been in our day, then the instinctive conviction that our life has meaning is likewise undermined to our detriment. The fourth and final essential component of Jung's message is the affirmation of the feminine principle. What is the feminine? Neither man nor woman, it seems, have been successful so far in defining it, and this book will be no exception. Two characteristics of the feminine are that it progresses by circumambulation rather than heading directly to the goal, and that it celebrates the body rather than disparaging it. For the feminine principle, words by themselves are thin. It seeks to embody and live its truth. It concerns itself with life, personal, concrete existence. Just as Joshua circumambulated Jericho 7 times before it fell, my strategy is to state a thesis and then circle around it. It will illustrate my thoughts with material drawn from Jung's psychology, religion, literature, and my experience as a Jungian analyst. My aim is to appeal to the heart as much as to the head, another characteristic of the feminine principle. The concepts of depth psychology cannot be grasped adequately by the intellect alone. Only when experienced can they become realities. The quotations, the lyrical phrases, like the personal references, are meant to help the reader realize the concepts by involving feeling as well as intellect. As Jung liked to say, the devil can best be beaten by patience, having none himself. I am trying to describe, or at least point to, a new ruling principle, an emerging God. By definition, I cannot be entirely successful in delineating it, because God is something that comprehends us. We cannot comprehend God. I've been reading from the introduction to Liberating the Heart, Spirituality and Jungian Psychology by Lawrence W. Jaffe. Dr. Jaffe was a Jungian analyst in Berkeley, California. He died in 2003, regrettably.